Hey guys, welcome back to Wired Customs YouTube channel, and today we're going to be explaining and showing you how well a small block fits inside a Model A frame. Also, if you guys want to watch the Blue Martian get built, tune into Rod and Styles YouTube channel. Start to finish, every single thing we've done to this truck is on that channel. Go and check it out. All right, so right off the bat, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, you have to do major modification to get a small block in a Model A frame, or at least original Model A frame. My cab is significantly, maybe like an inch, maybe a little bit more to the rear than it was originally. I did that just because the way I'm setting mine up, my motor is set up to where the radiator is in front of the cross member, not on top of it. I did that because I'm recreating an old hot rod. This used to be an old hot rod in 1957. This is what it looked like when it was originally built in 1957. The radiator was sitting in front of the cross member, and the grill was way out front. Really early hot rod style. So I'm just recreating that, and I want to let you guys know that up front, so when you're looking at mine compared to yours, that's why mine's so far forward. The firewall on mine is not as recessed far back as what you guys are going to have to do, just because of my cab is pushed more to the rear. This is all up to you guys on your setup, but I just want to show you and demonstrate what's going on with mine and explain it, so you can get an idea of what kind of space you're working with yours, so you can plan yours out better. But mine was originally hot rod 1957. This firewall is something they welded in straight. I'm not really sure what's going on with this. This is a 2829, so this should have been a split gas tank right here, but it's not. Looks like they beat the firewall in pretty good in the middle to get the distributor clear for the small block Chevy that was in this last 283 back in 1965. The first rendition had a flathead V8, so that's probably why the firewall was flat. Then they had to recess it for the distributor. As far as width-wise, these fit in here really nice width-wise. You could get some the original style cast iron headers, center dumps. They actually fit in a Model A frame pretty decently. It's tight, but it's not too tight. I have these awesome giant Lakester headers just because I like the look of Lakester style setups. To me, it just sounds badass, but that's the kind of space you're working it with. It's really good. Now you're going to have to eat into your, now if you want to put the motor far enough back to have the radiator completely over the cross member, you're definitely going to have to get a short water pump if you're working with a Chevrolet. Right now I have the long one on here, but I do have a short one, brand new one for this motor, so that has to happen. You're going to need the tighter radius there. Then obviously you're going to have to cut the firewall out. The gas tank and the cab is just not going to work anymore, obviously. Then again, you probably don't want the gas tank here with the small block, and you got to move the firewall back or notch it out pretty good. There's a lot of aftermarket firewalls like this. You can just buy it, cut yours out, weld this one in. It gives you that huge notch that you're going to need, especially if you're running a small block Chevy with a distributor in the back. Now, if you're running a Ford or other engines where the distributor's in the front, you have more room to work with, that's for sure. Just keep that in mind. And how tall it sits in the frame is completely up to you, but there's a lot of space up and down where you can go, even if you're gonna have a real low boy like what I have here. Now, obviously, you're going to have to box the frame. There's no doubt about that. I'm not someone who boxes the frame no matter what. I have a flathead V8 in my other Model A. It's not boxed. It does completely fine. But with the small block, I definitely recommend to box the frame. There's enough horsepower in these to actually twist the frame, mess up your body, all sorts of stuff that you don't want to have happen anyways. So make sure you box the frame. When it comes to steering, cross steer was what I recommend, depending on how high or low you run the motor. Cross steer is a pretty nice setup. I'm a kind of guy who uses a lot of original style parts, early Ford parts, to get things working. If you're an aftermarket guy, cow steering works pretty well. Obviously, if you're going to have no fenders, cow steering works awesomely. Cowl steering can be extended out quite a ways. That drag link can be pretty long, so keep that in mind on what kind of steering you're going to have. But the original Model A steering, no way. It's not going to work with a small block. Too heavy up front now, so keep that in mind. You're going to have to upgrade your steering no matter what you do. Now, the good news about putting a small block inside a Model A, other than it's going to be super powerful, but the transmission setup, super easy. A lot of options aftermarket. What I have here is actually from Bowling Brothers Early Iron. They're a great company. They do whole frames. You guys don't even have to worry about building a frame if you don't want to. Go there, get one of theirs. They have a lot of different Z's, a lot of different notches, a lot of different frame options that you can get depending on how low you want your car to be, or if you want it to be a high boy, or if you want it to be a low fendered hot rod. The options are just endless for Bowling Brothers. So check them out. This is what I have in there is the Bowling Brothers cross member. It gives me suspension, and it gives me my transmission mount. And obviously, it gives me a lot of structural rigidity to my frame. So it makes my frame really, really strong. It's very, very capable of handling a high horsepower small block now. So I'm pretty happy about that. But like I was saying, when it comes to the transmission, small block style transmission inside a Model A frame, super easy. Great options out there, guys. So don't be afraid to throw a small block in your Model A. These things weigh nothing. As you can see, this is a RPU, convertible pickup truck. We're running the fenders on it. This thing's gonna weigh nothing. And this little 283 is probably gonna throw this thing down the road. So you guys, if you're thinking about putting a small block in a Model A and you're trying to figure out what it's gonna take, it doesn't really take too much, especially if you just buy a whole frame, and it is totally worth it, guys. I have a Model A with a flathead V8, and I've had Model A's with small blocks. I've had a Model A with a big block. It gets pretty dangerous there, but it is great. It is great. Now, the only thing I want to mention about the transmission setup, if you're running ladder bars, keep in mind what kind of space you have. Mine's all very cramped in there. A lot of really key measurements to get ladder bars to work in here with my transmission. If you want to go 4-link, that's a little bit easier. The geometry is more complicated, but the space is easier. Obviously, this is not a suspension video. This is a small block video, but this is the kind of things you need to keep in mind when it comes to using all the space in such a small frame. When it comes to the back, sky's the limit. Do whatever you want. Monoleaf, coilovers, 2 leafs, whatever works for you, whatever you have in your garage. But keep in mind that the Model A frame tapers and gets wider and wider and wider the further it goes back. Something to keep in mind though, guys, if you're gonna run the Bowling Brothers kick up like I have on the back of my frame, as soon as it gets to those rear step side mounts in the frame, it starts to kick and go parallel. So after the step sides, my Model A frame is parallel all the way back, which helps with a lot of suspension setups. It helps with putting the cross member in. All that kind of stuff gets easier. The measurements, the geometry is easier that way. So keep that in mind. With the space that you have available inside of a Model A frame, we're kind of limited, but a small block in a Model A is not that big of a deal. As long as you know how to cut, weld, and measure, it's going to be pretty simple. If you guys have any questions about the measurements, the output shaft of the transmission, the angle of the rear axle, suspension options, where you can buy these parts, guys, just put them down in the comment section. I'm here to help. Any question you have about building a Model A, hit me up. Make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Suggestions for videos are always welcome. Questions can always be turned into videos. I do that a lot, guys. Thank you for watching. Get out in the garage and get your shit together.